How can we make our Thanksgiving celebrations more fun and more memorable? I'm Dr. Ellen Ettinger, and I'm going to give you three techniques, three methods you can use today at your Thanksgiving dinners and celebrations to help up the fun. So, we are entering Thanksgiving and the holiday season, and what better time of year than to up the fun? Those of you who know me know that I really like to help spread joy and happiness in life. We have a lot of stress in our lives, so I like to give people techniques to really elevate the joy. And I'm going to help you deal with the holidays, which can sometimes be stressful. And I'm going to give you some suggestions for your family celebrations. So the three techniques that I'm going to talk about today, I've shared with some of the groups, some of the parents and families that I work with, and they really like them. One of the things that I really want to do is up our spirits at this time of year because we're often so busy, so encompassed with getting the perfect meal, making travel arrangements, and all of the plans for the holiday. And by the time we get to the holiday, we're exhausted. So I want to really focus a lot on thankfulness and thinking about what we are thankful for at the holiday, because of course we are at Thanksgiving. So it would be great if we can think about what we're thankful for. And also, at this time of year, we're getting to the start of the holiday season. So we have a lot of holidays coming up: Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa. And a lot of us give gifts to our families and friends. And the kids are especially excited about getting gifts. So I think it's a really relevant topic to bring up discussions of thankfulness. What does it feel like to be thankful? How do we express thankfulness? Sometimes we just say thank you by rote because we've been trained to say that, and we just say it and move on. But I really want to start and motivate some really heartfelt discussions that we can have at our celebrations, which can really contribute to great memories. We very often focus just on the physical part of our holiday family events. For example, I want you to think about Thanksgiving. When I say Thanksgiving, what are the first things that come to your mind? For many people, it's the turkey and the stuffing and what we have on the table. And again, those are really important. And I'm going to be talking about those today. But I also want you to dig a little bit deeper and think not only about the physical aspects of the holiday, but Thanksgiving is really about thanksgiving, giving thanks. That's really why the holiday was established and created to honor what we have and how fortunate we are. And I think if we can bring those discussions up, we can create really heartwarming events and stronger memories of our family gatherings. So I'm going to be talking a lot about that today, about how we can evoke conversations about thankfulness and why they're important. When we plan any type of information, we very often don't think about it, but we very often use the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. So for Thanksgiving, we often think about who we're going to be with, when and where we're going to be for Thanksgiving, what we're going to have on our table. And that poor fifth question, why, often gets overlooked. Why do we celebrate Thanksgiving? Why was Thanksgiving created? What is special about it? What makes it a holiday? And again, Thanksgiving is about thanksgiving. It's about giving thanks. So thinking about giving thanks, about Thanksgiving and gratitude can, can really help us think about the things in our lives that we have that bring us joy and happiness. And they can really up our celebrations. I'm going to be talking a lot about that today and about how we can really create those conversations. So, again, the essence of Thanksgiving, the real and true essence of Thanksgiving is giving thanks. And we need to remember that because so often we focus on the physical aspects of the holiday, again, of what we're going to have on the table, who's going to be there, what we need to bring. And we lose track of the spiritual part of what we really feel in our hearts and the joy that we can have. And by bringing conversations about thoughtfulness, about thankfulness and gratitude, we really can bring back our feelings of joy. Another reason I think that these conversations about thankfulness are really important is a lot of us these days live in a stress cycle, on an ongoing stress cycle. We're busy taking care of work and home and keeping up with our schedules. How am I going to get everything done? It's just continuing stress. And I think we have Thanksgiving and holidays with us. What great occasions to think about thankfulness and gratitude. And when you do that, it really is the pathway of thinking about what are our sources of joy and happiness. And by paying attention to thankfulness and gratitude, we can bring more joy and happiness forefront in our minds and in our lives. So I want to really think about that and keep that thought going. Here's a question that I frequently get. Why is it that we often think about stress, but we don't naturally think about thankfulness and gratitude more often naturally? And that's because our brains are wired to spot and find danger and problems in our world and our environment. It's really a survival technique of the brain. And the reason is, and let's go back many, many generations as an example. If you think when humans were running in the forest, so if you had a human in the forest and a bear came up, that person had to pay attention to danger to stay safe. If they missed track of dangers, they might not live, they may not survive. It's a survival technique to be aware and alert and attentive to any sources of danger in our environment. So again, I talked about that old time example of a bear in the forest. But if you're walking and you get to a street corner and all of a sudden a car comes by really fast, you may jump because your brain notices the danger and you know you have to do something to stay safe. Again, it's that brain wiring, taking in, being attentive to that danger. But for example, if you're walking in the street and you spot somebody say something nice to someone else, you might think, oh, that's really nice. But then you just kind of keep going, keep walking, and you move on with your day. It doesn't give you that same jolt that emergency target, that emergency signal gave. So we need to be more deliberate and more intentional about paying attention to joy and happiness in our lives, because our brains are not wired to spot every source of joy and to pay attention to joy and happiness the same way we pay attention to danger. There's actually a part of the brain that's referred to by many people as Velcro for danger and emergency and worries, because that brain, again, it wants to keep track of everything in our environment that can be a source of danger. But joy and happiness, we can survive We don't necessarily need to notice every source of joy and happiness. So again, it's up to us to be intentional and deliberate, to pay attention so that we do notice sources of joy and happiness in our lives. We are at Thanksgiving. What better time to be attentive to thankfulness and Thanksgiving. So I'm going to talk first about some family traditions, and then I'm going to give you those 3 techniques. And I promised you I was going to talk a little bit about the turkey and stuffing. So I want to talk now about family techniques, family traditions, and family routines. So for your Thanksgiving, do you have any family routines or family traditions? Any special dishes that you serve? If you do, don't just put them on the table. Make sure you mention it so everybody remembers. This is Aunt Ruthie's sweet potato pie, or this is Grandma Maggie's whatever dish, salad, whatever. It's great to share family stories at family get-togethers, particularly about the holidays, if there are any. So don't just be physical and put them down, but make sure you share family stories. And make sure that you're intentional about passing down the family traditions, the stories, and the recipes. I've heard so many people talk about how they have a piece of paper with a recipe they have in the kitchen and they're making it, and some water gets on the recipe and the ink runs, and they end up losing the recipe because the piece of paper got damaged. So be really careful about that. I've heard so many stories. So make sure you make copies or put a copy on your computer so that you don't lose these family milestones and traditions. And also make sure you put them in a good place where you know you can find them when you need them. I've also heard lots of stories of people who say, we used to have this side dish that we would make, but I can't find what I did with the recipe. So make sure you do have careful files that you can keep track of for the holidays. Because we want to have these traditions not just physically on the table, but we want to be able to share and pass them down. So again, let's elevate that happiness and joy. I'm going to talk about 3 family traditions that you may want to start, any of them. So the first is based on a very classic tradition that a lot of families do, but it's with a bonus. So I call this around the table with a bonus. So it's based on a tradition that's very common where you go around the table and everybody says something that they're thankful for. But the bonus is either before the celebration or even at the table, when each person says what they're thankful for, somebody is there and will thank that person for something they did. So for example, maybe Johnny might say, I'm thankful that Grandma and Grandpa are here for our Thanksgiving dinner this year. Maybe they couldn't be there for previous years. So Johnny may say, I'm thankful that I have my Grandma and Grandpa with me for Thanksgiving. And then somebody at the table is going to thank Johnny for something special he did recently or during the year. Maybe they'll say, Johnny, thank you so much for helping me do this. Or I'm so grateful that you were able to accomplish this year. So everybody at the table expresses thankfulness, and here's something that they did that somebody expresses they're thankful to them. So they give thanks and they feel appreciated, everybody at the table. And I love that give and receive. I love that we feel a whole cycle there for everybody. I think it's a fun twist on a tradition. So that's for around the table with a bonus. Let's move on to number 2, and I call that the thankful jar. So for number 2, instead of going around the table, when everybody shows up, there are pieces of paper and pens or pencils, some kind of utensil to write. And everybody is asked to write down, I am thankful for, and to write down something they're thankful for. And they take their piece of paper that they filled out and they put it in the glass jar. And by the way, it can be a plain glass jar, or you might want to decorate your thankful jar. Maybe you can put a ribbon around it or glue on some colored paper or some pictures having to do with the holiday. And I think that when you have that jar, when you have that jar, people fill out their papers, they put it in, and when we're sitting at the table, everybody takes out a piece of paper and they read a thankful paper. And then we guess whose paper it was from what it says. So they read it, I'm thankful for, and they may say, oh, I think this is Sally's because I think that she may be feeling this. So it adds a little bit of fun. It's a fun twist to a conversation about thankfulness. And when we say, I think this may be Sally's, because it's naturally a conversation about thankfulness. We start talking about it, and other people may pitch in, and there you go, we have a conversation. So again, I think these are great ways to bring attention to gratitude and thankfulness and sources of happiness and joy in our lives. And that brings me to number 3, which is actually my favorite of the 3 techniques. And it has to do with a song that I wrote. So I like to express myself through music, and music can be a great educational tool. Those of you who've been following me know that that I have spoken about how I am a 13-year breast cancer survivor. And about 4 years ago, I had a health scare and I had to have a whole bunch of tests. And so, of course, I waited to get the results of the tests back. And I was concerned for each one with the results. And one after the other, the results came in and they were all normal. And at the end of the set of tests, my doctor cleared me and said that everything turned out fine and that I'm healthy. And I was so relieved and so thankful. I really started thinking to myself, I'm really thankful. I felt that I had really dodged a danger and started thinking to myself, I'm really thankful. I've got to really pay attention to all the things in my life that I am thankful for. I started thinking, I'm thankful for the air that I breathe. I'm thankful for the food that I eat. I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head, shelter. I'm thankful that I have a bed to sleep in. All these thoughts started to come to me about how I should pay attention to all these sources of that I am grateful for. And those are the words that started the song that I wrote. And I wrote words and music to a song. And again, songs and music can really be great educational techniques. They can really help us spread music and message. And I really like using music to teach. So I am going to give you a link to that song at the end of this video so that you can use it. You might want to play it at your Thanksgiving table, You might even want to give out words. I will give you access to the words. You might want to give out words and sing along with it if you'd like. I did try to make it a pretty simple song. And again, the words are things that we often overlook and take for granted. Again, the words having to do with I'm thankful for the air that I breathe, the food that I eat. I'm thankful that I can be. I'm thankful for the roof over my head. I'm thankful for my friends and my family. And a lot of these lyrics are in this song. So I hope that it's something that you can enjoy and that it will bring some smiles to the family and that you can start the conversation and then continue talking about thankfulness. Again, a special reason why I think thankfulness is really relevant in this season. We have a lot of holidays coming up, and a lot of the kids, especially, are looking forward to all the gifts that they get. And I really think that spirituality is important this time of year. And we need to really take inventory and appreciation of all the things that we are thankful for, that we often forget about and overlook and just assume we have them and take for granted. And when we do pay attention to them, it really can bring us joy and bring a heartwarming celebration and conversations and really create wonderful memories of our family gatherings. So I hope those 3 techniques are helpful. I'm going to mention one little creative technique that I spoke a little bit about on a recent video that I did on gratitude a few weeks ago. And if you'd like more information on that, you're welcome to watch that video from a few weeks ago on gratitude. But one of the things that I really love to do at family celebrations is have some kind of creative item that was made for that celebration. And I'm going to talk about making place cards for our family gathering for Thanksgiving. So I'm just going to show you, I went out and I got some leaves that had fallen off the trees, and I'm going to use these as templates. I'm going to trace them on a piece of paper, and I have a bunch of leaves here. They're different sizes and different shapes. I'm going to trace them on paper, or you can use cardstock, or you can even use scrap paper. And I'm going to let some kids draw some different colors on these cutout leaves that I've shaped with my real leaves as templates. And the kids can color them whatever colors they want. They don't have to be the natural colors of the leaves. They can make them purple or whatever colors they want. I just want them to be creative outlets that our kids can use. And in the middle of these leaves, I'm going to make a rectangle, and that's where I'm going to put each person's name. Everybody's going to have a leaf, a name tag at the table. And if you have a small family, or if everybody knows where they sit anyway, you can still put name tags out just as decorations. Or instead of writing a name, I might just write Happy Thanksgiving for everybody to have a place tag that says Happy Thanksgiving. And this is really a small creative activity, but I love having something creative at the table or in the environment where we have celebrations that makes that environment ours. Something that we've personally made or our families have made personally, that we know this area is ours. There's nowhere else that has this, something special that we have. It really touches me, and I encourage other families to do that as well, and to share those family stories that you can pass on. So, again, those three techniques that can help bring us out of the stress cycle and help us to become intentional and deliberate about thinking about all the things in our lives that we are grateful for. And especially at this time of year, at Thanksgiving and holiday season, it's a great time to highlight all those sources of joy in our lives. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you do use the song, I hope you'll write a comment underneath and let me know. Let me know what was useful and what you enjoyed about this video. And please feel free to share this video with others. I really want to spread the message about highlighting thankfulness and gratitude at Thanksgiving and the holiday season. So again, please feel free to share this video with your friends and relatives. Make sure that you've subscribed to the channel so that you'll know when I come out with a new video, and please hit the like button. And I will be back here next week with another topic. So until then, I wish you a great Thanksgiving celebration, a great holiday season as we progress and move forward. I will see you back here in a week. And until then, be empowered and enjoy all of those sources of happiness in your life. I will see you again next week.